It's not quite afternoon, is it? Good morning, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. I am joined by my friends Belquis and Sammie from Alliant. Belquis, do you want to just take a minute and say a bit about yourself?
Sure. Good afternoon, good morning. Thanks, Brenda, for having us. I'm with Alliant Insurance Services and happy to be here. Our relationship with ReSource Pro, it's been a couple of decades by now, 20 years, going very strong. So we're here to talk about policy insight.
Thank you. Sammie?
Yeah, I'm with Alliant. I've been with Alliant about 10 years and have a good history with ReSource Pro. I was prior with an acquisition with SES and then came over to Alliant on the corporate side.
Thank you. I'm Brenda Grow. I'm in our solutions team. If you saw me a little while ago, you know who I am. But today we're discussing policy checking challenges. In speaking with several clients and prospects, we've listed some of the challenges we often hear on the screen here. In completing dynamic and tasks. Sorry, I can't really read that. I'll just wing it. Short turnaround time, high volume of those tasks, the complexity that they see. What are some of the challenges that you all faced before you started engaging us with policy checking on policy insights?
We've been doing policy checking with ReSource Pro for some time now, so it's not a new task that we've deployed to ReSource Pro, but it's been manual, obviously. And because of our diversity and different, during the years, different acquisitions and processes that we've had, there was no consistent way of doing the policy check. Everyone was doing their own way of policy checking. Everyone has their own little checklist and all that. So it was inconsistent. It was created a lot of backlog. And therefore, we start talking about with ReSource Pro about a system that can centralize all the processes into one system and using technology.
And then also reporting was a challenge because reporting data was fragmented. We have different acquisitions, small teams, over 200 offices with their own processes, and so it was hard to determine what was being processed, how, and how effective and efficient we were.
Yeah. Some of the challenges that a lot of people have when they have people using different checklists, people responding to those checklists in different ways, and unless you can pull all of those and read them, you really don't have visibility into them. Did you have concerns that even if the policies were checked, they weren't adequately reviewed?
Correct, because we lack visibility at the desk level to even figure out what the errors were they resolved, and which teams were impacted the most by these errors and where they originated from. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at RSP, when we think about solutions, we like to take a three-prong approach. I talked this morning, if you saw that talk, about the expert in the loop. You've got to have an expert team. Policy checking is very automatable if it's simple, standard policies. Alliant has some of those, but not a lot. And so when you've got complexity, when you've got a variety of verticals that have different business needs, you really do need an expert team behind you. Then, of course, the robust technology tools. We have launched, and if you've all visited the booth out there, automated policy checking, 2 different tiers, auto check and express check, and then our advanced check model, where we're using technology to assist our humans, but we aren't using AI in that piece. And that is the method that Alliant is using at this point, is the tech-enabled experts. And then providing insights into what's going on with those policies. As Sammie and I were just talking about, even if you trust your folks and they're doing a great job, you really don't have insight into what's going on with those policies, what kind of errors they're finding, and what they're doing about them. And that's typically what we're seeing. So, you talked a bit about that reporting. What other features were really something that stuck out with you that made you want to choose it?
When we talk about the implementation and the rollout, we were really impressed with the training. It was live training, weekly check-ins. It helped us to actually see which teams are adopting this as a solution and who's lagging behind. And it also gave us the opportunity to look at some of our smaller acquisitions to find out how are they currently processing the checks, the policy checking, and then also bringing them into this process early on.
I would like to add is because we've already doing the regular policy checking with the Resource Pro team, the implementation went very easy for us. Obviously, we started the conversation a couple of years ago, I think.
I think so, yeah.
We created a pilot team, testers from different verticals within Alliant, and giving them the opportunity to do the first-hand tests. And that became really very quickly was becoming, like this is what we really want. And like your training, the Zoom live training was extremely helpful. So, I mean, overall, I think it's a win-win situation for both Resource Pro and for Alliant, because Resource Pro's team now are managing our policy checking through the policy insight system and not doing it so much manually.
Yeah, one of the challenges I know you had is that capacity on your dedicated team. And so many people have the same issue. Policy is always the last priority item. So if you've got other stuff that takes precedence, you tend to get backlog. And that is one of the situations I remember when we started with some of the verticals, there was significant backlog that we helped to clear up. And I think we have a slide about that later on. So this is just a little bit about that journey with Alliant. As you mentioned, we've worked together for over 20 years, and we have checked policies for you pretty much most of that time. Not for all your verticals, because we have been introduced to verticals that we were not working with, but for quite a few of them. And we continue to expand each month. So as you can see, we started going live September. Through January, we continue to add new offices. Right now, we have over 600 AMP users, or the Account Manager Portal, and so we continue to grow. What has that journey been like for the team? You talked a little bit about the training, but what was your change management journey? Did you have any issues with that you might want to share?
Well, once we start to see a lift in users, in the experience, and we share on those calls how it benefited the teams, you start to see that number increase from 100, 300 on up to 600 and more. But mainly what they're impressed about and what they shared was the turnaround time was decreased, which reduces backlog, of course. But also, we think about visibility. We can actually see through this portal who's adopting this as a solution and who do we need to reach out within a vertical. If there's 50 individuals, why do you only have 10 or 15 involved? And we focus on the balance of the team to get them plugged in.
And the manager portal has been really helpful for the management level, and they can track and see the status of, because we all been in insurance forever. Yeah. And you hurry up and bind the coverage, and the policy comes in, it goes back and sits in the back, and you just wait for the next renewal cycle. So with this, the system and this implementation of policy insight, from our perspective, you don't wait. You just feed it and comes back. And
there was another aspect too we discussed this morning about E&O as well.
Right.
That was another feature we really focused on.
that was a game changer.
Yeah, with that. What do you wish you knew? What do you know now that you wish you knew before? Or what would you have done differently?
If we knew the implementation would have been this smooth, we would have done it earlier. And also, we focused on larger groups. And I think what we could have done better is go back and look at the smaller acquisitions and find out how are you handling your policy checking, but also bring them in as early adopters, as small groups, so they can just embrace this change.
I hear from a lot of our clients and prospects that, it's a new system for them to learn. My people don't want to learn to use a new system. We talked about the training that we did. How has that been for your folks? What kind of feedback do you get from those AMs and AEs that are using the portal?
You mean for new acquisitions or for
just new users to the AMP?
I think it's going really well because, we have firsthand training, and that's really important. If we didn't have that training for yourself, we thank you for that, it would have probably delayed the process or the success rate. But having scheduling those online training and having the recording ready for our folks to go in and take it. And that's how we increase the rate of logins. Yeah.
And I think that the team, many offices were already familiar with ReSource Pro, so there was a trusted relationship and partnership there. They trusted that the training would produce an outcome that everyone was happy with, so they were supportive. And our business. As large as we are, our business, you're involved.
We grew with you, right?
Exactly, yeah. And so you have a proven track record. So everybody who was involved in this was really positive.
We talked a bit about the account manager portal, and a bit about the dashboard as well, so you're able to see that. And what I find, and Belquis and I were just working on a project together, seeing how people are using it. Are they making the correct choices, or are they taking shortcuts to really go back and do some more training with folks if they aren't quite doing as much as they could be doing in the account manager portal?
And the other thing I do want to add, that having the ReSource Pro team who are already working with us or worked with us for a long time, they are familiar with our agency management system, right? So that makes it much easier for them to work on this in the policy inside and help our policy checking move.
Yeah, and that's a good point, too. As we were doing the transition, we got training from the dedicated team, which took a lift off of you folks, I understand, as well. We've talked about the diversity of Alliant. Large range of accounts, many offices, within offices, many different verticals, and so there was a lot of diversity, I could say, in the process. And so that was one of the assets they came with us, is how can we standardize it so that we know that policies are checked in a consistent manner, but also has the flexibility that is needed because of the diversity of the book. And so this is just some of the experience. 50% of the accounts that we check for Alliant are over $100,000 in premium. We have touched over policies from over 700 carriers. That's a lot. We've worked with over 50 lines of business, and the average account has, the average policy, we check 4 to 5 source documents. Again, we tailor that to what works for the specific vertical. We have that tech enablement that helps us be more efficient, but we always have those expert eyeballs on those policies. And we provide those insights through the dashboard. Any other aspects that you'd like to talk about, or any other challenges that we didn't cover?
I think we covered the main points. Yeah. The only other thing we're going to talk about is touch on technology and AI.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what we're really excited about connecting humanity with technology. That's going to help us to scale volume without sacrificing quality.
Right.
And one other thing we're excited about is looking forward to how do we retool our staff to really check output versus actually producing and going through these workflows and doing the work. And so this is going to help us to really provide a high standard of service to our clients along with this tool.
Yeah, I think that, you've captured our theme, capture the shift. It's a shift of looking at what's my end versus I step here, I step here, I step here, I step here. What is our goal? And that goal is to have accurate policies quickly into your client's hands, right? And so the noise doesn't matter. It's the result that matters. Yeah. So thank you.
We can anticipate challenges versus reacting to them, too. So.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Belquis, any last words?
No, just thank you. Thank you, Brenda, for working with us for the past 2 years and getting us where we needed to be.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Extremely patient, right?
Yeah.
We were very patient. At first, we didn't know it was like herding cats at first, right? But then it worked out. Yeah.
Well, I understand. I was an account manager, and all my accounts were my children. So, sometimes it's difficult to get them to let go or try something new. And you all led the charge with that, and it was a great experience.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.